Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, the founder of PPC Live. And every week on the show, I speak to a different PPC expert about their biggest F up, but also how they turn things around. Today, I have the delight of speaking to Frankie, who you'll hear me call Frankie because that's how he goes by. That's how everyone knows him by. And he comes and joins the show to talk about an F up about a topic that pretty much 80% of our previous guests have mentioned that is a big mistake in the industry, or is one of the most frequent mistakes that they see other, agencies make when they're making an audit. He talks about conversion tracking. He talks about a conversion tracking that went wrong with his company, and also how they fixed it and what to do to ensure that those kind of mistakes don't happen in the future. So yeah, let's go speak to Frankie. Hello, Frankie. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here. Absolutely. It's really grateful that you booked this time. I was telling Frankie just before we recorded that because Semrush, our company, are doing like a wellness day for us and nobody really needs to work. It's like the first thing that popped in my mind to do was to go to the beach. But then UK weather is very schizophrenic. Yeah, it was very sunny yesterday. Today it's gray and gloomy. It's a bit like we think it's going to rain. So I'm like, okay, no beach day today. And thankfully I looked at my calendar in time, and what did I find? Frankie had booked a time for us to have a chat. So I'm really grateful. I thought I was even telling another friend yesterday, it's going to be a boring Friday because I think it's going to rain. Not boring at all. Not boring anymore. Thank you, Frankie, for making this a very interesting Friday for me.
Of course.
Yeah. And just
those calendar invites. Those calendar invites sneak up on you.
They do, right? Yeah. Just so in case people are confused, yes, you might see on Frankie's LinkedIn that he's there as Lisandro Franky IV, which means that there are like 4 great other Lisandro Frankies before him, but he goes by Frankie. Everybody calls him Frankie, and he's giving me permission to call him Frankie. I feel very privileged. I feel that's like a friends and family privilege to call him Frankie. So let me introduce you to Frankie. Frankie is a results-oriented software engineer and digital marketer with a passion for helping brands grow through process optimization, software implementation, and digital marketing. His experience includes multi-million-dollar ROI-focused digital advertising campaigns, sales funnel optimization, and digital marketing strategy and planning, because those are the areas of digital marketing that I truly believe AI is not going to take away. Maybe the tactical stuff you can see ChatGPT taking, but the whole context, what the business objectives are, business goals, you still need to feed it in from the company. So yeah, great that you have that viewpoint of dealing with a client's budget like that, which is great. And then, fun fact. What's your fun fact, Frankie?
My fun fact was, so I have an agency now, Mochi, 16 years in, but in a different lifetime, I was actually a full-time DJ and in Miami nightclub scene, if you can believe it. So my backup plan was, if this marketing thing didn't work out, that was
go back to the
plan B.
music.
That was plan B. So, but here we are. So
that's fun. I mean, I see DJs and I think to myself, I can mix music, and I'm like, I can't. I always get a good friend to do. Like, I'll have a party and I'll have a friend who I know is even like an amateur DJ. I'm like, can you put a nice playlist together? And I'll be like, that's what DJs do. They do that much better than I do. Would you say you were one of the top rated ones? When you were
no,
DJ?
Not at all. Very bottom of the barrel. I mean, definitely.
I don't believe you. I feel like
a lot of fun experiences.
Yeah.
A lot of fun experiences, a lot of meeting interesting people, got to experience a lot of venues from behind the scenes. So that was a lot of fun.
Nah, amazing. Did you ever get like any like celebrities? Because the celebrities, they love all these parties that have amazing DJs. And I imagine Miami had a scene where some famous people came by. Any bumping into famous people?
I mean, I would say like yes, everywhere, but I think like they keep to themselves and they go to the dark, to the backs, to the tables, stay out of the way. Yeah. That's more the vibe. Like we came here for the music and party and drink and so on. But yeah, all kinds of celebrities for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I go to Miami, I'll be sticking to the beach. I don't think I've passed the age where I'll be in the club scene till 3 a.m. in the morning. That will wreck me. That will wreck me.
Oh,
Anyway,
I mean,
I can imagine.
till the
Anyway,
sun
people
comes
are
out
not
on
gone.
till the sun comes out. Like club space is like well known for that.
Yeah.
There's a terrace. The sun comes out. The music is going. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, yes. There people will find me in some corner having fallen asleep on a couch while they're still partying. That's where they'll find me. Um anyway, people don't want to hear about like Miami club scene. They want to hear about digital marketing, the mistakes that we've made. And thank you so much, Frankie, for being the latest on like a long line of fantastic guests who are open and brave enough to share, their learning journey on their path of success. Always trying to reiterate the fact that it's good to show your vulnerability, where you had your biggest lesson, how a mistake led you to the success you are today. And yeah, we're gonna share another story. I'm actually excited for this one because yeah, Frankie gave me a preview of what's gonna be about. This is gonna be about conversion tracking. Our listeners will be used to us hearing from most guests going like, what are the most irritating mistakes that you see when you're auditing an account? And a lot of people say conversion tracking. So I'm glad that conversion tracking is going to get center stage today and as the key story point today. So yeah, Frankie, what is the F up you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a specific situation recently with a client where there was a complete drop off on the conversion tracking gradually, and then from 100 to zero, where the tracking that was on the platform, meaning
Mm,
Google Ads in this case,
yeah.
stopped receiving data. And so obviously over time that affects the learning model, that affects the delivery of that campaign. And
Mhm.
so the performance of those campaigns will decrease and eventually not work. And
Yeah.
so part of why I think like that becomes really complicated is because there's a couple pieces there, right? There's the on-platform conversion tracking
Mm,
of what is being recorded. There is the third party aspect of it. A lot of the times they were talking about sales or even, leads, like we have CRM, offline conversion pieces. So like the actual final conversion. And then
yeah.
the part before, which is the technical aspect on like the
Mm,
deployment, implementation, Google Tag Manager. How are those how are those conversions even being recorded
yeah.
to then be fed, to then be finalized? So
Yeah. So and this is where the conversation I dig into. My really curious brain can be very irritating for people. I apologize, but like, so
please, I love curious
when
brains.
so the you said, can you give us like timelines of things when you started the campaign, when and then at the point where you realized, who realized the conversion tracking had gone wrong, and then how long it took for that to be fixed, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. And again, I think a lot of the times, a lot of it depends on the fact that there's a complicated architecture around paid campaigns, right? What
Yes.
happens on the platform is very simple, but I mean, it is and it isn't. But what happens on the platform at the very least is very straightforward. But when you have third-party tools to help you do
Yeah.
bid management or portfolio management, when you have data coming from third-party sources bringing in sales data, for example, and then you
Mm,
have either data warehousing or data visualization to actually see the results. Now you start seeing kind of multiple points of failure.
yeah.
So in this particular example, there was a situation where the account was working, was set up, everything was going well for several months as we've been managing it. And then there was a change that was done on one of these portfolio bidding management platforms that was
Okay.
feeding the conversions onto the Google Ads platform.
Yeah.
And when that change occurred, it stopped feeding the ad platform.
Okay.
Now, the part that's a gap is what we were reporting was on sales data, not
Yeah.
on platform conversions. And that's why we try to recommend, most of our clients at Mochi, where it's like, it's great to know what was purchased on site with a website event,
Yeah.
but we want to see the finance, right? It's like, did the
Yes.
money actually come in? And so
100%.
that was still working, but the on platform optimization wasn't, and so it was a hard place to kind of see that if we weren't looking at the right place.
Right. So, and like, how long did it take for you to spot?
Uh, Probably, I mean, almost a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and again, it wasn't linear because in the account there's multiple campaigns. Some
Yeah.
campaigns were still working perfectly. There was a handful of
Yeah.
campaigns that were not, but those were important campaigns. And so, trying to
Absolutely.
identify, you know, you start looking at it with performance checks, right? So
Yeah.
we'll do a weekly performance check and we'll say, hey, how are we doing versus last week versus last year
Sure.
versus target.
Yep. Yep.
And then when we start seeing some of this erosion, I'm like, wait a minute, why is this decreasing so
Yeah.
much?
Yeah.
Let's try to optimize it.
Mm.
Instead of optimizing it, we need to fix it, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Very
figuring
good.
out that answer is that gap of
Yeah.
making a difference and course
Yeah.
correcting performance on campaigns.
Okay. Okay. So you said that there was a change made in a bid optimization, and then that led to that data not feed into the conversion tracking. So does that mean was the setup of that conversion tracking wrong, or was the implemented how that bidding strategy was implemented, was that wrong? So what was the thing that led to the data all of a sudden not being fed through? Because from the sounds of it, nothing was changed from the conversion tracking setting. It was like the bidding strategy that was changed. How did it cause the conversion tracking to stop passing data?
Yeah, I think we hop along for the ride to understand the flow of like how things are happening, right?
Yeah.
And so in this case, we start with the website, like most cases.
Yeah.
So the website, the user makes an event that was feeding into the analytics platform for the client.
Yeah.
That analytics platform was connected to their POS system, so it was validating an actual sale. And when that
Yeah.
actual sale was validated, it was being sent to a portfolio management platform
Okay.
that was handling the bid optimizations,
Mm.
which is an added layer on top of the Google Ads platform. And then that conversion was being fed there. And then from there, that was being fed into Google Ads for the on platform optimization piece.
Yeah. Okay.
There was a configuration on the portfolio optimization platform
Mm.
that stopped feeding that event, which was a specific configuration on the portfolio bidding that was changed. um but it was only changed partially in some campaigns, right?
Yeah.
If you go from one day to the next, from like we're supposed to get 100 sales a day to zero, you
Mm.
know that there's a drastic issue. But when you go from 100 to 80, the assumption is more there's a performance issue, let's
Mm.
optimize, rather than some of the core fundamentals.
Okay.
So I like to learn from my mistakes once. And so
Yeah.
we have a platform that we're building internally to detect anomalies and inconsistencies within platforms.
Yeah.
And we're doing this internally because we're looking at multiple platforms, right? Like within Google, they even have some alerts already, or you can set up notifications, or with other platforms, they can do it independently. But having a platform that can compare on platform versus sales or whatever
Mm.
finance is, it doesn't, is not something we've seen or existed. And so with that, we have now in production an anomaly detector so that we can say, hey,
Oh.
if from one day to the next, the platforms were lining up 95%, right?
Yeah.
We had 100 here and 105 here, and then the next day they drop on
Yeah.
a per campaign basis.
Right.
We want to know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that optimization on the platforms is heavily weighted to the conversion event, right?
Yeah.
We're doing T ROAS, we're doing max conversions. All of that is honed in on this conversion event. And if that conversion
Mm.
event is not accurate and up to date, then it's not working.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what I'm trying to just figure out as well, because you've given us what I'm hearing is the fact that The majority of the error was the fact that it took you a month to guys to actually figure out that the data wasn't matching, that you're seeing sales but it's not pulling through, like Google ads properly. But like, what was it, more of like a human error or a system error? Was it like someone had configured something wrong, or Google hadn't told us that the Google had, or the third party tool hadn't, they didn't have the right setting for that configuration, or someone had configured something wrong that happened?
I mean, I think in this situation, it was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think that there was a human error where certain settings were changed, but
Okay.
then there was some platform issues where it wasn't clear that upon making those changes, the conversion would also change.
Right.
And again, a lot of what we were reporting was on the sales number, right?
Yeah.
What we like to show is we spent X and you got Y, right?
Yeah.
And we want to do that with granularity at the
Yeah.
campaign level, if not deeper, right?
Yeah.
And so we still have that data, right? Because we were
Mhm.
spending on the platform and we were reporting on revenue numbers from sales, from
Yeah.
finance, right?
Yeah.
So the gap in between that optimizes the campaign, we were not seeing day to day because it wasn't used for the ongoing reporting because we were 3 steps later.
Right.
And so that's the piece where as you start building more complex architectures around managing paid
Mm.
and so on, you
Mm.
you want to keep visibility on some of these pieces that are core fundamentals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
and
big lesson. Like, yeah.
and we've had multiple cases of that. Like the one that has happened to us multiple times is website updates.
Right. Oh, of course. Oh, of
There's a
course.
website update. Oh, don't worry, all the tags will transfer
Exactly.
over, and then like from one day to the next, like
Oh,
it drops. And
yeah.
and the problem is fixing that error could take multiple days, and
Yeah.
then all of those days you have to make the hard decision between, okay, should we pull the plug, turn everything
Yeah.
off, and
Yeah.
wait until it gets fixed, or should we keep running the campaign knowing full well that we're not optimizing on conversions?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. You know what? Even from what I'm hearing your story, and you've kind of mentioned it, throughout, but I'd really like us to also highlight on what was a saving grace for you, because it almost sounds like this, because you had almost like 2 points or 3 points of, yeah, seeing sales and how it was. Some people, they only have that one point of view of that conversion tracking, and then all of a sudden, they see it immediately. I guess there are pros and cons to it. Like, if it was only one point of view, you might have seen it immediately, but it's actually good that you're doing sales, had another way of tracking, sales, because then you knew that money was coming through. How do you
the
feel that
the
the situation of having that multiple view of what was going on in sales was a benefit for you?
Yeah, I mean, two things. I think one is the saving grace is the fact that the portfolio bid management platform was still functioning with the correct
Sure.
data. And
Yeah.
so that's what kept the campaign alive or
Yeah.
performing,
Yeah.
in my view. And then the second thing is, we want to look at the performance down to the sale, and so
Yeah.
we try to communicate that. A lot of the times, we work with C-suite or executive level where they're not familiar with the ins and outs of
Yeah.
performance media,
No.
and so making sure that that part is explained as far as how core fundamental it is to have those conversion tracking pieces in place.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like we really can't do our job. And so more than looking at the conversion on the website, right?
Uh-huh.
Which, like when you have like Google Analytics, like that's what we typically still see mostly.
Hmm.
But making sure to go one step further. So like we want to see the finance, right? We want
Yeah.
to see your POS. We want to see whatever
Yes.
happens at a Salesforce of like
Yes.
these 100 leads.
Mm.
Did
Mm.
they convert and for how much? And then feed that back to the platform so that we can say we don't want to optimize for leads. We want to optimize for closed clients,
Yeah.
and this is the amount. And that part, I think for us, like we like to say that at Mochi, where like we're the bridge between technical and marketing because we're
Yeah.
very technically
Yeah.
inclined in that sense. And that's a big roadblock that we faced with clients before. Where like engineering knows everything from web dev, and then marketing knows everything from running the campaigns.
Yeah.
but making sure that the tags are in place, making sure that we have client side, service side, right? All of
Yeah.
those different pieces.
Yeah.
Um, that's on one end. And then on the other end, hey, all the sales data, we want to feed it into the platform so we can optimize not just on leads, but on closed clients.
Mm.
How do we connect those? And for B2B, we find that to be a huge, huge point of contention because
Yeah.
they'll they'll have two clients a month and they're like, wow, this is amazing because each client is 100,000.
Oh,
So
nice.
for them, it's that's what they need to
Huge.
optimize for. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. What I also like to dig into these kind of stories is also the relationship kind of thing. So, so this was a mistake that happened with Mochi and within Mochi, and so that means it was for a client. And were they aware? Did it affect them? Like, did you have to do like a reporting back to them of like, sorry, conversion tracking has gone wrong. We've not done, and who kind of picked up on the error? Was it you guys or was it the client side?
yeah, I mean, I think we escalate things
Yeah.
internally on an ongoing basis, right?
Yeah.
So we look at performance, regularly, but more formally weekly and obviously monthly.
Yeah.
But once we see a week over week trend of like, wait a minute, performance is declining, that triggers a deeper dive
Yeah.
into typically campaigns. We have them group into different segments, right? Generally speaking, that could be non-brand, brand, PMAX, demand
Yeah.
gen, whatever those
Yeah.
segments are. Sometimes they're specific by client, like brands or whatever. So we start digging into those segments and say, wait a
Mm.
minute, this is down 5%, but under this brand, it's down 30%. What's
Yeah.
going on here? And so that initial performance check kind of led to an internal audit
Yeah.
so that
Okay.
we could make that analysis. And then we found where the gap was and
Yeah.
then kind of going through that process of addressing it and resolving it.
Okay.
Um, but now, and I feel like I'm skipping ahead, but like now, in this age of AI, I think like we've been putting a lot of alerts systems in place
Yeah.
so that we don't have to monitor it, but we get notified.
Absolutely.
I think that AI is a great tool for our tool belt,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to be used right. And there's places where it doesn't need to be used because there's all these things in place that
Yeah.
can do it for you, right?
Okay.
But for something like detection and alerts, I think it works really well. And based on our learnings and our mistakes and even like things that we've learned along the way, we can put together these as a set of rules of like, hey, when this happens, let me know. When this happens, let me know. When
Yeah.
this happens, let me know.
Yeah.
So that when we have a campaign decrease significantly, we can check on the conversion events. We can have checking on the website to see that the pixel's still there, right? Like
Yeah.
basic things that like day one we had to set up, but something changed. So we
Yeah.
need to go step by step, and we'd like to go step by step as quickly as possible.
Okay. So the client, were they worried about this downtime of their conversion, or what did the data? How did it reflect on the data that they were seeing on their end? Was it something that didn't affect what you needed for reports to them?
Yeah, so I mean, I think on this account, like the account as a whole wasn't affected. It was a
Okay.
specific segment inside of the account, but then
Okay.
drilling into that segment, that was definitely affected significantly.
Yeah.
The saving grace, like we were talking later, is like the bidding optimization was still in place, so I think that helped. But then when we started looking at comparatively, like year over year, we're saying, wait a minute, this is completely off from where we should be. And then like that starts kind of setting those things off. So obviously, like from a performance standpoint, like there was an overall decrease,
Okay.
but it wasn't something that was obvious, right? In the sense
Okay.
that the decrease was gradual, just like the loss
Okay.
in just
Yeah.
like the loss in the conversion tracking was gradual. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't overnight. It wasn't for the entire account. So those are the pieces that I think when you're doing just PPC management, you really need to look at the account as a whole, but then at the same time be as granular as possible, right? And that
Yeah.
becomes challenging when you have 50 accounts, 100, campaigns. So
Yeah.
but
So
but that's part of it.
is that client still on your books? Are you still working with those
Mhm.
guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe to your point, like I think the biggest thing is communication. Like
Sure. Yep.
we are fully transparent on absolutely everything.
Mm.
We try to explain. I feel like 20% of my role is educational.
Sure, yeah. We
uh,
don't we don't we don't we don't put that in not giving up that enough focus. We're always talking about CPCs and doing our jargon words and making it seem like if the client is just so dumb for not understanding how important our job is. You actually need to educate the clients,
that
and and that's how they can get on board with you.
we bundle that in, like that's part of our presentations, and it's not just like core concepts, right? Like we have
Mm.
new features, new terms, new tools.
Yeah.
Oh, AI
Yeah.
Max, it's a net
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
type, of optimization, and so those are the pieces that go a long way when it comes to setting expectations and transparency with the client on, hey, we have this tool, we ran through it with the Google team, this is what it's supposed to do. We don't know what it's going to do, but you know what we are going to do, like we do with everything else, we're going to test it,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
based on those results, we'll let you know. If it does well, we'll scale it. If it doesn't, maybe we'll keep it a little longer or turn it off.
Okay. All right. And like in terms of like just the people management in terms of like that issue, was there anyone in there who was just a lot very worried about, let's say, their role in terms of like seeing the mistake, knowing that it was their responsibility to check this, like and how did they get over that and see it as very much more of a learning curve for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, in this specific example, like if we look at the account as a whole, right? Like performance deteriorated, but it was low performance, but within our parameters,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't a red alarm like, hey, like we've fallen off a cliff, right?
No,
And part of
good.
that is because it only affected a small segment of the campaigns. And so I think more than anything, the worry was like, we're doing really slow when we should be doing fast.
Yeah.
Where's the gap? And so I think like that's what's helped us kind of like, okay, we will drill down on it, identify it, make that correction, and then now we've seen the account kind of like pad itself up, right?
Yeah.
Where this small segment is now giving us a padding, boosting up, weekly revenue, our ROI coming back
Yeah.
up, and all those things. But again, that's one example. We've had many of situations where like conversion tracking at its core. We had another client where the website example that I mentioned, we've
Yeah.
had them for a year plus, everything's going well. But see, that was a more drastic situation where like
Yeah.
from one day to the next, it's like, oh, we're at zero.
Wow.
We gotta fix this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But on the case that we were just talking about earlier, I think it's just a matter of it wasn't affecting the whole account, so that helped
Yeah.
mitigate some of
Yeah.
that performance erosion. But
Yeah.
but definitely now we're starting to see things kind of pick back up because of it.
Yeah. Okay. And forgive me if you might have mentioned this, but like, what was the fix? So, what was the fix? What needed to be? Because I know, like, to prevent it happening again, you've put alerts into place. But like, what was it? Was it a matter of changing the setting on the bidding side, or the platform? Has the platform updated? The third party platform updated to be able
So
to understand?
yeah, so I went through a little earlier, like our five little stages of, we usually talk about customer flow, but this is more a conversion flow.
Yeah.
So we had a dam, right? We had a block on the bidding optimization platform, on the
Yeah.
portfolio bidding, and so changing the settings there, now started continue feeding that data back onto the platform.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that was the fix in that scenario.
Okay.
But in a lot of the cases, it really is a matter of being in the accounts day to day,
Yeah.
seeing those performance.
Yeah.
I think like expertise on pay is important, but
Mm.
I would say equally as important is industry and account knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You won't know if a CPC is too high or if a conversion is too low without really knowing that client, the account, their business priorities. what they're looking to do. Hey, this campaign is doing terrible. Well, it turns out that's a new product that they're just launching, and so they need to scale it, right? So that's
Mm,
why we're spending twice as much per purchase or per lead for that campaign. And so knowing those business priorities helps on the day to day of optimizing the account, knowing what's wrong or what shouldn't be or what is doing well, and so on.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say someone has themselves have just figured out this mistake has happened. Something was changing the bidding that has affected the conversion tracking, and performance has been just be slowly deteriorating for a few weeks now. And yeah, they've not been really be able to give a solid answer to the client back yet as to what's going wrong. What's your advice to them?
If the issue is not conversion related, you mean?
Yeah, it is
Oh,
conversion
oh,
related, and yeah, they're
got
just
it.
about figuring it out. Yeah, but like, let's say, like, in terms of how they should try to investigate what the problem is, and with it being conversion
Yeah.
related, what's
Well,
your
so
what's your
so
advice?
so this comes down to like onboarding fundamentals, right? At the
Sure.
beginning of when you start the account, we need to know what is our source of truth, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so that's why we end up lying back on either a CRM or a POS system or a finance department, because we want to know, are we tracking the right thing? Because if we don't
Mm,
have anything to measure against, then how do we know if it was 100 sales or 1,000 sales, right?
mm,
And so having that baseline is really key for us, so that we can say, okay, the platform says 1,000 and finance says, I'd love to say 1,000, but there's usually a discrepancy between those two. But
yeah.
as long as that discrepancy is consistent, we find it to be anywhere from like 5 to 20% usually.
Mm,
But as long as that discrepancy is consistent, then we know that we have the right directionality.
yeah.
And so step one is, okay, the number is wrong. Is like, what is the right number,
Yeah.
right? And then step two is, so our go-to is just doing an audit at that point, right? It's like, hey,
Mm,
we have the wrong number. The right number should be this. And so part one of that audit is just doing a full customer workflow on the site from
sure.
a tracking perspective.
Yeah.
So there's like 1,000 ways to do this. The most common one that we find is a combination of like Google Tag Manager plus an analytics tool.
Mm, mm,
Um, I, I have my contention with GA4, but it's what we still find everywhere. The alternative is Adobe Analytics, which I also have a lot of comments on. But regardless, that's the source of truth for the client, right?
yeah.
Especially when it comes to marketing attribution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, that's the place to start. Doing an audit on the Google Tag Manager, going through the customer flow, making sure that the events that you're recording are actually being recorded.
Yeah.
Uh, I would say 70% of the time, that's where we find our gap. I
Yeah.
completed a purchase, the purchase event didn't fire.
Yeah.
That's our issue. That's the
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
The 30% becomes a lot more difficult to troubleshoot, but at least like most of the time we find, okay, let's go through a customer workflow. Let's find our point of failure, and
Yeah.
from there try to talk with the web dev team or with engineering, and then address it and resolve it.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Um, so yeah, we'll now go into it because we spent a lot of time on that story, and that's absolutely fantastic, great. And we're going to start talking about other
Yeah.
things that you find when you're auditing accounts, of like surprises in terms of mistake you're seeing other people making. But what's one last thing that you want to leave people with about that story you just shared? Like, if there's one thing, the biggest takeaway that people should have about that story and that mistake.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think it's, don't forget your core fundamentals. I mean, I think that a lot of the times, especially when we start an account, the universal, we like when you start an account, you look at all the settings and make sure everything is correct, and then kind of you move on. But like after six
Mm,
months, a year, like those things don't get looked at. So if we want to go to kind of like bare basics, like conversion tracking and like quality score, like
yeah.
those are it. Like those are your drivers,
Yeah.
especially on the paid search side.
Yeah.
So same thing with quality score. If your numbers are ongoing, averaging downward, like
Mm,
they shouldn't be, right? So what has been changing? What
yeah.
why what can be changed, and that'll trigger more deep dives and more actions and so on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. So let's leave that story back into the past and where it belongs, because now you've got plenty of successes to talk about. And let's talk about some of the times that you've taken on accounts or you've been really shocked by what the previous, agencies have been doing in terms of their strategies. What have been one of some of your like your most surprising in terms of things that have been implemented that in 2026 that really shouldn't be?
I mean, it's absolutely wild. I feel like a lot of the times, especially we work with like enterprise level clients sometimes where
Mhm.
like they just have a volume of data.
Yeah.
And so they have total numbers, right? Total spend, total revenue or orders
Yeah.
or whatever the case. I think the part that we constantly find is lacking is granularity, right?
Mm.
And so what I mean by that is what we try to get to, as an agency that we think adds the biggest value is we want to know granularity at the campaign level, right?
Okay.
Because we spend at the campaign level.
Yeah.
So if this campaign is spending $1,000, $10,000, we want to know how much is generating for the client.
Yeah.
And so that has been the thing with a lot of clients that we find when we start peeling the onion and
Yeah.
digging through their accounts that they don't have at all.
Okay.
A lot of incomplete data, a lot of lack of UTM, uh,
Ooh, tracking.
taxonomy governance. So like they'll have all of these campaigns that every department uses different names for.
Oh,
There's no centralized naming
yeah.
convention, and so it's impossible to right. Once you get things at the campaign level, you can start putting reporting. So that if we want to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, we launched this summer campaign. How did the summer campaign perform?"
Yeah.
Nobody can answer that question, right?
Yeah.
But if we
Yeah.
have a naming convention where we identify that in the campaigns, and there's 4 campaigns that have a summer, we can say, great, these 4 campaigns spend this much,
Yeah.
have the attribution modeling, which is more of a deeper conversation,
Yeah.
and then say, okay, it generated this many orders, right?
Yeah.
So I think that probably has been the biggest surprise as far as like working with some clients where
Yeah.
we don't see that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's difficult, right? It's
Yeah.
difficult to get to that place because it's heavily technical.
Mm.
You have to work hand in hand with both ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum,
Yeah.
which is the web dev team and then the sales team, right? And
Yeah.
marketing is like right in between. And
Yeah.
so that's why
Yeah.
here at Mochi, like we say to clients, like we're the bridge, between these areas because we
Mm.
have this technical background on both ends
Yeah.
to be able to talk one on one with the web dev team and
Yeah.
know what we need from them
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
are not familiarized with the marketing side,
No.
and then do the same thing with the sales team of like, hey, like we need these finalized client lists fed back to us,
Yeah.
and here's how we get them. Here's how we
Mm.
can schedule them for you, or even better, give us the API and we'll integrate it with our in-house dashboard so that you
Yeah.
can just give us the access and we'll connect these pieces together so that
Mm.
we can then say, hey, this campaign, the summer campaign from yesterday, generated 100 leads and 2 clients, right?
Yeah.
And I think those are the pieces that we find time and time again that are missing when we start with a new client.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just have like standardization across, especially when you're like a big company, have different whatchamacallit departments taking care of, looking at I need to look at the similar things and it's in-house. And yeah, it's very much very important that you standardize that means of reporting, way of reporting is the best way for that, isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So how about like in terms of the use of AI? In terms of like the industry responding to it, the fact that Microsoft have come out with their version of AI Max, how do you feel the industry is responding to it, and what are the ways they're responding to it that is not the correct way? Do you feel like you're seeing a lot of?
Do we have another hour?
All right. Yeah.
uh,
No. Sorry. Maybe just you
uh,
need to condense it in 5 minutes. That's what you got.
no, yeah. All right, I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Yeah, I mean, I think that AI is an incredible a powerful tool, but just like with any tools, it's as powerful as its user allows it to be.
Yeah.
I think that um, when it comes to data mining and large breadths of data, I think AI shines. It can comb through millions of rows and bring in like insight and analysis that I
Hmm.
think humans would be hard pressed to do. I think the other piece of it, which honestly we've been struggling a lot, both on paid social, which we do a lot of on Meta, and on paid search as well, which is
Mm.
on the creative front.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're getting forced AI um, creative generation.
Yeah.
Here's these headlines, here's these texts, here's photos, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we have a creative team, like we don't need these
You don't need
photos.
that. Yeah.
And so and obviously, like, I feel like they're trying to bridge a gap of like maybe like small to medium businesses that don't have a
Mm.
dedicated marketing team, um to be able to more easily create creatives for them. But what's
Mm.
happening now is it's we're bumping heads with creating content because there's
Yeah.
layers of AI that are getting added sometimes without our approval
Oh,
or know-how, right? So
okay.
we fight it out sometimes where we're about to launch a campaign and then there's an AI something turned on, and so we have to
Yeah.
dig through like 4 layers of settings to turn it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Literally, we were doing that yesterday. Because the new features roll out
Yeah.
and there isn't a press announcement because there's so many
No.
of them, and so
Yeah.
they just appear on the dashboard. And
Yeah.
so I think that the industry is learning how to better leverage AI. There's a lot of pieces that it does well, like the data mining piece, like being able to query conversationally data. I think
Mm.
even within the like Google Ads platform and other
Mm.
platforms have integrated this really well, which gives you additional context. It's like, hey, this campaign that we just launched, like, how is it doing versus this other campaign, and
Mm.
getting
Mm.
numbers back. So that piece, I think, is miles ahead. I think the
Yeah.
creative piece is the part that is
Yeah.
is more challenging. And again, I think it's just a lot of it with context, right? Like the
Yeah.
platforms lack it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so we have to step in to kind of fill those gaps in. But y- you know, I think there's a long and beautiful road ahead of how
Yeah.
to better take advantage of it. But
Yeah.
we'll find those pockets where it really excels, and some pockets where we're not,
And it does
not so
that.
much.
But do you have like any example of like, because you've shown about the areas that you don't want to use it for creative. You guys have a creative team, and that creative team, clearly you guys still you've not seen those creative ads that AI have gone and gone. Oh yeah, this is doing a better job than our creative team. So do you know the functionality is not there yet, or your customers still want to see a real image. But in terms of, do you have any examples of how you maybe heard other agencies or other professionals, because people talk a lot about these kind of things on LinkedIn, like, but have you seen like examples of someone saying that this is how I used it, and you've gone, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Are there any ways that you've actually, gleaned into that?
The part that I cringe on the most, a lot of the times, is when there's and this is agencies and other companies as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
where they have their team working with multiple AIs without a centralized way. And
Mm,
so their team is uploading to these platforms like confidential or private information of the company or of clients,
yeah.
without any sort of governance. And that's the part that I feel like I'm most apprehensive on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to upload our entire list of customers, right?
Yeah.
Just point
Yeah.
blank
Yeah.
to not even a company account, but one employee's personal account, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and so those are the pieces that at Mochi, like, we do ongoing brain share sessions to try to share
Sure.
some of these best practices with the team because everything is new.
Yeah.
And then try to be proactive as a company as well. Like we have a centralized Claude company account to have all our
Mm,
team members there. We share context, we share skills, all of
mm,
that in one place, and just
mm.
having some kind of direction for the team. But the security and privacy aspect for me is the one that oh, I just put all of my financial records and it tells me we're making money. It's like, oh, okay, like all of your financial records.
Yeah, yeah. So the kind
So
of things that you've made, you've made a lot of people sign NDAs to see and all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, you're like, yeah, let AI take it because it's giving me information.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so
And
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
we could get into it. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's for another episode. I need to do maybe like a spin-off of like all the wrong ways people use AI, and that those will be hour-long episodes for everybody. I'm sure everybody will have stuff to say about that. But yeah, that privacy aspect of things is definitely for sure a big one that people really need to be wary of. Look, Frankie, you've given us such amazing insights there from your personal story to what you're seeing out there in the industry. I hope people really are paying attention to this and really looking at their data and being protective of their clients' data. And if you sign an NDA, don't just chuck it into an AI. I think that's really an important lesson for people to take away. But before we do the full roundup, yeah, just a non-PPC fun question. If your PPC career were a movie, what would the title be?
it'd be run, don't walk.
Okay, nice. I like that.
uh,
Okay,
uh,
and what's the reasoning behind that?
a lot of the decisions that happen day to day, like it's better to go fast, move forward, keep
Yeah,
going. Sometimes going slow, because everything is changing, becomes more of a problem than a solution.
yeah.
So keep going forward, one step in front of the other. Go fast, find it fast, solve it fast, grow it fast. So that.
That's amazing. That's amazing because actually it reminds me of the saying of like, fail fast. If there's something to test, it's better to like test it as quickly as possible, realize what the failure is and what was the mistake was, and then yeah, learn from it so that you've already figured out what's the things not to do so that you keep going in the direction of success for your clients. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Frankie, for joining us today. I know you're on LinkedIn, so people can connect with you on that. And we're going to share your profile with people. But is there any other platforms, or is LinkedIn your go-to if people want to connect?
Yeah, reach me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to talk more on digital marketing and pick other people's brains and have my brain picked. So please.
Nice. And for the fact that, the first time we met at SMX Advanced. That was this year. SMX Advanced seems so long ago. I'm still baffled that was still 2026. But yeah, it was
Yep.
June, which was not even that long ago, a few months ago. But like, are there any other events that you're going to be checking it out before the end of the year or maybe early next year where people can catch you at?
Well, I know that there's an SMS San Diego. I mean, I feel like I found a really good crowd, learning and experience there.
Yeah.
I'm on the hunt for an equivalent on the social media side. So if you know any social media conferences, I know there's a
Interesting.
lot out
Yeah.
there, but yeah, still looking for one that.
But yeah, on that note, Frankie, that has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much. We'll share all the links of all the resources that people have that we talked about today. And hopefully we'll see you at the next SMX that'll be happening next year. But till then, thanks, Frankie. Bye.
All right, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for sharing that very honest and transparent feedback and giving us, very technical step-by-step guides as to how to prevent conversion tracking issues happening, how to ensure that we're working towards, a client's business goals and how to ensure that we keep on top with, different changes that may happen, remembering the rule of don't set things and forget it. Make sure those checks that you're doing are happening with every new AI, new functionality you're putting in place. So yeah, I hope that was a big lesson for all our listeners today. So yeah, for more information on the full transcript and not just the show notes and all the links that we talked about in the chat, please go to podcast.ppc.live for full details of this episode. Yes, so in terms of PPC Live event updates, you've been very patient. We're going to be releasing early bird ticket sales next week. You guys are the first to hear about this. So please, yeah, get on, get on and show that you've got enough money in your bank account. Although early bird sale means that, yeah, you're pretty much just, we are buying a ticket sale of something that is much cheaper than even a dinner out in London. So yeah, and for what will cost a lot less than a dinner out in London, you're going to get 3 fantastic speakers at least, but there could be a fourth one. And yeah, we're going to get a fantastic panel discussion where you get involved, you share what's your biggest issues and bring that to the audience so that we can all discuss and do some problem solving for you. So yeah, please go to ppc.live for full details and, to be the first to find out when this is coming out, or go to newsletter. No, not newsletter.ppc.live. I should set up that domain, but it's just go to ppc.live for now. And, so that you can find out when you can, get those early bird ticket sales and when they come out. And yeah, before I leave you, I'm also delighted to share that I take on coaching clients. So if you need just help, climbing that career ladder, being confident enough to go for that, new position, being confident enough to ask for that, salary increase, get in touch with me so that we can discuss that. Go to themarketinganu.com to book a free discovery call so that we can chat all about that. All right. Thank you very much. And I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.